This is take 3. The first time was a result of receiving an email from DJI, and it was a widespread email, so it wasn't directed to me. But it was basically an email trying to appeal to new buyers and giving a side-by-side comparison of the Mini 4 Pro and the Air 3. If you know anything about those two drones, you can see why that's pretty upsetting, especially to somebody who purchased the Air 3 on the promise that it was great technology for a middle-of-the-road drone without having to get into the Mavic series, which can be a little more pricier and less friendly for your wallet, and something bigger than the Mini series, but giving you a leg up on technology. The Mini 4 Pro is exactly the same thing, with the obvious discrepancies of the size, so that plays a huge part for portability's sake, and then the camera, which we're going to talk about in a second. The first video, let's just say I was a little bit more on the emotional side. It's a little bit frustrating, so I apologize if there's a little bit of passion that comes through in this video, but the reason this video is a little bit premature in a way is because my hand has been forced. You're seeing this video 2 weeks after this email has come out, so you've probably read this if you subscribe to DJI's newsletter, things like that. This letter was sent on January 24th. I'll put it up on screen for what I'm about to read, but essentially gives you a side-by-side comparison of the specs and asking the reader which one is better for you and then helping you make that decision. The annoying thing is that they are literally the exact same thing. Like, if you're having a hard time deciding between which one, it helps guide you through the process of deciding. And then the funny part is that it goes on to then describe more specs comparing side by side. So in video, both shoot 4K 60 frames per second, a 10-bit log. It's not the biggest difference in the world. It really isn't. The problem is they're both exactly the same. This is the funny part to me. Right below that, now it starts to compare flight performance battle. So on the left side, you've got the DJI Mini 4 Pro, right side DJI Air 3. There's a 1 minute difference. But if you go back through this email, there is literally no difference. All right, now here is where I currently stand on the question of the Mini 4 Pro versus the Air 3. In times past, before the Air 3 was released, I would have recommended the Mini series as a great beginner-friendly drone to allow people to understand a little bit more of the drone world, get comfortable with the technology, the controls. That would have been my go-to recommendation. For the more pro side, the Mavic series, obviously, because there's a lot more tech and a lot more control you have over your image quality and exposure. The Air 3 was great because it gave you that middle-of-the-road technology and still was super basic for a beginner, enough so that you can feel comfortable maneuvering in the drone sphere. I will now classify the Air 3 as a great beginner drone. And again, only because there's no difference between that and the Mini 4 Pro. For 2 months, so I believe the Air 3 was released July 25th, and then September 25th, the Mini 4 Pro came out, so you only had 2 months really, and within that time, you would have seen social media, YouTube, all of your favorite creators blowing your feed up with how great the Air 3 was. 2 months later, the Mini 4 Pro comes out, much cheaper and the same exact technology, and everyone's gonna gravitate towards it because it's so much easier to carry around. It takes up less space in your bag. So that would be the obvious go-to for any beginner. It's small, it's comfortable, easy controls, a lot of tech, but you can get there at your own pace. Same thing that was being pitched in the Air 3. Thing is, who wants that size of a drone? If you're getting into that size, you're going to be looking to the Mavic series, and again, only because of the expert features that are going to come with it. You got the obvious difference as well with the cameras. Now, one thing I will say, with the Air 3, the biggest thing they were pushing was the fact that you had a 70mm camera on it. So the 70mm, typically when you hear that as a photographer, you're thinking, look, you're gonna get the subject in focus, you're gonna get this bokeh effect where everything else is gonna be blurry, and it's gonna be a nice contrast between the image and the rest of the world, kind of like how you do with your eyes. That's not what happens on the Air 3. Everything is still in focus, it's just a little bit more punched in. Now you do get a 3x zoom for a parallax effect or whatever you want to use that for. I ended up not using that a whole lot. You do get up to a 9x zoom. It's digital, so you are going to lose a little bit of the quality. I've never really used that feature at all, only because of that. Every time I've had the opportunity to use the zoom feature, I ended up not doing that. I just flew the drone closer. Partly because whenever you fly a drone, it's really for the bigger picture, the larger context. You're wanting to show your audience or your viewers the context of where this video is taking place. And so when I fly a drone, I fly with the purpose of showing bigger pictures, not a punched in image. So if I take that feature out, that leaves now portability. Though it's pretty good at being stabilized. Whoa, it's super blurry. Dude, the sun. I don't want to be blinding you guys. So the verdict for me, the Air 3 is a great starter drone, but skip that and just go for the Mini 4 Pro. I think DJI really messed some people over when they pushed that super hard, and then didn't do the same push from what I saw on the Mini 4 Pro. Partly, I guess, because I wonder if they realized they sold this so much, but then 2 months later, and they made the money on the Air 3, but so many months later, they released the Mini 4 Pro, the exact same thing, but now more people are gonna go for that, again, because of portability reasons. And where you live, there's probably gonna be less regulations that are gonna affect you because of the size of the Mini 4 Pro. Oh my gosh. This sun. My ideal garage situation will be the Mini 4 Pro because it's super easy to take around. It'll be for fun, so that's great. But for client-facing opportunities where you do have to give a little bit of a more professional appeal, and for more cinematic experiences where I get a whole lot more, I get a deeper level of control of the exposure and the image, Mavic 3 Pro. Just the mini series is gonna be all around awesome because everything I have bragged about up until now for the Air 3, you're gonna get on the Mini 4 Pro. Skip the Air 3, go to the Mini 4 Pro. If anybody's on the fence about those drones, hit me up in the comments. If you have any other questions, be happy to help you, help steer you in the right direction. So that's gonna do it for us today. I'm so sorry, this sun is a little wild. Oh, here's the building, that's my chance. There we go. Go tell a story. We're gonna see you guys in the next video.